Warning, Prospect Watch is not your average hockey podcast, and that's okay with us. Our goal is to introduce you to stars in the making from all over the world. They may not be household names yet, but we assure you they will be soon enough. Welcome to Prospect Watch. Welcome to Prospect Watch,
a podcast that focuses solely on the discovery and promotion of some of the best young talent in the game today from all regions of the world. I'm your host, Lance Green, and of course, joining me as always is my co-host, Steel. Steel, how are you?
Oh man, I'll tell you what, I am doing fantabulous. I'm doing fantabulous. How about you, Lance? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, considering we have a young goaltender sitting in with us.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Thank you, Mr. Carter George, for joining in.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so for those of you guys that don't know, Carter George is from the Owen Sound Attack of the Ontario Hockey League. And Carter, we would just like to say thank you for joining us. It's a big pleasure, and we'll get some questions to you, and I'm pretty darn excited. So, guys, for those of you that don't know Carter, let me catch you up real quick. He's a 17-year-old goaltender who, although only stands at 6 foot tall, is able to play much bigger in net. He's very patient, which helps him out during the shootout especially. And once Carter reaches to the NHL level, I believe he will easily win his team by himself a couple extra points a season just from this adventure alone in net there. But don't take my word for it. Let's look at some numbers here. Through 17 games played so far this season, Carter has averaged a 2.87 goals against average, a 9.08 save percentage with 2 shutouts on the season. And if that wasn't enough, earlier this year, he was able to backstop Team Canada on their way to winning a gold medal at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, while maintaining a 2.26 goals against average through 5 games played.
Man, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And, Steele, why don't you start us off with some questions here?
You got it. So, Carter, seeing as how I get to sit here with a goalie on a weekly basis and we get to talk hockey all the time, now I get to talk to another goalie. It's like I got some kind of thing with goalies or something, you know what I mean? But, what was it that made you want to be a goalie? What was it that made you decide that, yeah, this is the position I'm going to play?
It was back when we used to rotate. Every guy got a turn going in net, and when I got my turn, I kind of fell in love when I put the pads on for the first time and fell in love with the equipment, and I just loved it ever since and stuck with it.
Ooh, we're thankful you did.
All right. So our fans know, Carter, what type of goalie would you say you are? And what is one NHL player, past or present, that you would say you idolized growing up or try to model your game after?
I would say I'm a situational goaltender. Everything I do is based off my reads, and depending on the situation, that's how I play it. I definitely model my game after Igor Shesterkin. Similar frame, very patient on his feet, good east-west. He's very fast and explosive, and he's a good goalie model your game after, I feel.
Can't argue that logic. Jeez. We both feel that he's one of the, premier type goalies that's playing in the game today. Do you know what I mean? And to model your game after somebody like that, I mean, you're exactly right, Carter. You do kind of have that frame, and you do have that patience. You know what I mean? So that's one of the beautiful things here. Lance already touched on this, on what he thought were some of your best attributes. So what are some of the things you still think maybe that you might need to work on?
I feel like maybe my flexibility could get a bit better. Obviously, you like to be flexible like the Quicks and the Sorokins and be like those guys. So I feel like that's something I could touch on for sure.
All right. So run us through a typical day, a game day for you. Do you have any preferred pregame meals? What time do you get to the rink? What do you do once you're there?
So a typical game day, usually show up at the rink at 11, 10:30. come in, stretch, do a few hand-eye workouts, just with a couple of juggling balls and that. Then usually I'll ice bath, and then I'll go home. Usually take an hour and a half nap, hour nap, and then I'll usually around 3 I'll eat my pregame, which is usually chicken parm or pasta and chicken, something around there.
There you go.
There you go.
And then I usually leave for the rink around 4, get there around 4:15ish. Once I get to the rink, I'll go do my hand-eye stuff first. Then usually we have video at 5, and then after video, I'll stretch out and roll out. And then we have video again at 5:30, and then after that, we do our team warm-ups off ice, and then it's get dressed and go on ice.
There you go, man. That sounds like a pretty hectic schedule, man, for to go out there and play a couple periods of hockey. You know what I mean?
A lot more definitely goes into it than most people know. So
See, that's one of the reasons why we asked that question, because now we get a better insight as to what's your typical day like when you getting ready to play. You know what I mean? So, who do you credit the most with getting you to this point in your career?
I would definitely say my dad. For most of my life, he was basically my goalie coach for most of my career.
Interesting.
He was also a goalie, so I kind of followed his footsteps a bit. And he's always there to talk to. Like, I always talk hockey about him, and he's always there to help me with my game when I'm down, and only lift me up when I'm down and in a struggle. And he's always there to support me, and he's probably one of my biggest fans.
That's usually a good way to go, right? When your dad is your biggest fan, you know what I mean?
yeah. All right. Now I'm a Brian's guy myself, but I see you wear CCM. Can you tell us about your decision to go with them versus some of the other brands out there?
My first set of pads was a Vaughn, and then from there I've used CCM my whole life, so I've kind of just stuck with it. I've had a few Reeboks, but similar to CCM, so I've kind of just used CCM my whole life, and I don't like to change my gear up much. I kind of like the same thing. I don't like the feeling of new gear, so I
Right.
kind of just like the same specs and everything the same, so it doesn't feel any different.
Makes sense.
Okay, there you go. As I'm sure you guys can both attest to, you're not always going to be on your game every single night. You know what I mean? So how do you see to it that you come back strong the next game?
Oh, I always feel coming back after a bad game is a big thing. How you bounce back after those games. Obviously, you're gonna be frustrated after a tough game or a tough outing, so you come back hungrier and angrier because you want to show what you can really do. So I try and use it as fuel and bring it into the next game.
There you
Man,
go.
that's a good answer.
All right. So last season you had to battle for time in between the pipes with two other guys. So what did you do this summer, maybe, to ensure that the majority of the starts this year would be yours?
I mean, I was in the gym a lot this year, on the ice a lot. I was working with a great goalie coach in Matt Smith. He helped me out a lot. I had worked out at Mind and Muscle, and I was there about 4 times a week, 5 times a week. And then I had a couple skates with a couple pros in Barrie, just here and there, like just skill skates, basically a shooter tutor, but it's with pros, so it's good shots. Then I skated with Coley Barlow a bit. I mean, can't compete with that shot. That's one of the best in the league, I'd say, right now. So
Right.
just
Yeah.
trying to be with like top elite competition, so it made the coming here a bit easier.
Yeah, that's definitely how you get better, playing with the best people you can. So yeah.
I mean, steel sharpens steel, you know what I mean? And that's basically how that's, supposed to work. So now, look, I'm not trying to offend either one of you guys here, okay? But let's face it, there's something a little off to somebody who willingly wants to stand there and face somebody with a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot. Okay, so do you have any like weird habits or superstitions? Like, do you have to have chicken parm every pregame meal, or I mean, like, what's going on? What's the deal?
I don't have too many superstitions, like nothing super weird, but I kind of just have a routine that I get into. Like, I'm okay if it gets thrown off a bit. Like, I won't like lose my mind or anything, but I definitely like to have a certain routine and just keep it in order.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Like, are you taping your stick the same way every night? Are you putting the left skate on and then the right skate? I mean, listen, we've heard every different combination of stuff.
Yeah, I kind of, when it comes to equipment and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of just like I've done it my whole life, so I've kind of just kept it the
Do it the
same.
same, yeah.
Nothing
Okay,
like particular like that. So yeah.
okay, good
All
deal.
right. So we all know a goalie's helmet is a way to express themselves. In saying that, we've obviously seen you wear a couple of different ones over the past few seasons. Team Canada, your one from last year, your one from this year. Who do you get to paint yours?
So my one from last year was a guy in Thunder Bay, uh, and it was Tailor Made Concepts. He
Okay.
painted it, and then the Team Canada one, stays with Team Canada. It's just kind of like their helmet that they give to the goalies at the tournament, so I didn't really get to paint that one. And
Okay.
then the one this year was another guy in Thunder Bay, BMFS Designs. He usually does the World Junior goalies helmets, so I got him to do mine this year.
Cool.
There you go, man. We love the helmets because that's your personality, and that's kind of your way to express yourself. You know what I mean? That's the cool thing about you see that mask that's back there and Lance's background there, right? You can't really. I mean, it's white and all. You could paint that, but there ain't much there to paint. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's all vintage stuff.
That's what
Yeah.
I mean, right? There ain't much back there to paint, right? So
All right.
we know that hockey is life right now for you, right? Okay, but can you tell us one thing that maybe we could find you doing, like off the ice?
Off season.
Off season, I'm a big
I mean, I
tennis
know
player.
there's no off season really, but
Right. Right.
you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Tennis. All right.
I like playing tennis.
Oh, okay.
When I was in grade 10, me and my buddy went to tennis doubles and made it to all Ontario's for tennis. So it's kind of something that I find pretty fun and keeps you active.
Wow, I'll say,
All right.
that builds up the reflexes, I think, really too, because following that little fuzzy ball around, I mean, that makes you good at tracking pucks, right? I'm sure, right?
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Okay, so take us back to the OHL priority draft. Where were you when all this was going on, and what was your thought process when you heard your name called or you received that phone call?
So I was with the Thunder Bay Kings U18 team. They were at
Hmm.
their Western Regionals, go to Telus Cup. I was their third string, so I kind of just went with them. It was in Virden, Manitoba, just a small town. Um, we were at a Boston Pizza, and it was after one of their games they played, and we were all watching the draft on our phones, live streaming it, and I got a text from my agent, and he just said quickly like OS, and then next thing I know, GM Dale the Great called me, and he just pretty much said welcome aboard. And I went outside, took the call, and I came back in. I got a standing ovation from the whole team, so it was a pretty special moment for me.
That's
There you go.
awesome. That's
There
awesome.
you go,
It's
man.
very. He remembered every detail. Where, what, pizza place they were at and everything,
I
man.
know, right?
That's something that'll stick with you. Shoot.
Yeah, for
Exactly.
sure.
We're hoping that we can see that again in a few
Yeah.
months. We're
Yeah.
hoping we can see that
Couple
again.
months.
A couple months down
Fingers
the
crossed.
road, right? So tell us, what was it like to get to wear that Team Canada sweater and represent your team at the Gretzky Cup? What was that like, man?
I mean, it was a great experience. It's something you've dreamed of since you're a little kid to wear the maple leaf on your chest, and it's something I'm super honored to be able to do. And to be able to win gold with the group of guys that we had was incredible, and to be able to have that hardware now is something that I'll definitely keep forever.
Yeah, man, that doesn't go away, right? That's something they can't take away from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we always end our interviews with this kind of question, and that is, what is one piece of advice that you would give young goaltenders out there watching this podcast right now?
Whew, good question. I would definitely say you're gonna have your ups and downs, but just keep grinding, keep stick with it. everything happens for a purpose, right? So just believe in yourself.
All right.
There you go, man. There you go. Well, I'll tell you what, Lance. What an absolute pleasure it was to speak to you, Carter. This has been amazing. We get to learn more about the game when we get to talk to these great prospects, you included. You know what I mean? So it's great that we get to talk about the kind of game that you have and what you're doing right now. Do you know what I mean? And we definitely are. We have been following you. You know, we're paying attention. We got our, prospect binoculars on, you know what I mean? And so I would also like to say a big, huge thank you to the PR person that took care of things here for us today. I won't mention any names, but please pass on
Thank
the
you.
thank you. Yeah, please pass on the thank you for getting this set up so that we could talk to you. So thank you very much for that.
Will do.
I'll tell you what, Lance, I think this young man is another great talent that I believe we're going to see sometime in the very near future in some of the other leagues. I'll say that. Okay.
Yeah, very, very exciting to have this kind of player on and of his caliber, and
I'm telling you, man.
looking forward to watching him the rest of this season and watching where he might end up come draft day for sure. So,
Exactly.
again, thank you guys for joining us as always and watching the show. Stay tuned for more great players.
Thank you all for watching Prospect Watch. We'll catch you all on the next episode.